In our previous videos on Oblivion Remastered for the Switch 2, we measured a simulated experience based on what we know about the Switch 2's chipset, assuming a raw 1-to-1 scale down from PC would let us mimic what the real thing would feel like. We couldn't have been further from the truth. Now that Oblivion Remastered is officially out on Switch 2, I've got a lot to be grateful for. Virtuos and Bethesda did a genuinely great job squeezing out more fidelity and more of an experience than I expected for a game you could take on the go. With the Unreal Engine and, Bethesda's engine stacked on top of each other. I am excited to share today what we've actually found. In this video, we ran a full frame analysis using custom Python scripts, comparing our simulated Switch 2 render against a real Switch 2 gameplay footage, and pulling in some PC comparisons too. We got into combat, traversal, and my favorite part. You won't want to miss this. My personal favorite way to actually play Oblivion Remastered on the Switch. So stick around, we've got a lot to get into. Let's dive in. Alright, jumping right in, and at 2x speed right here, we're in character creation. I wanted to capture this a little bit and just kind of show that, even back in the day, this was such a captivating scene, seeing the detail on the rocks, the character for the first time, and granted, of course, it looks really good. And then fast forwarding to this guy that we all know and love, gets a little bit shanked, and we're out of here, and we're going to kill this rat, and we're going to exit the sewer. And this is such an iconic moment for everybody that's played Oblivion. And this was hit with a really, really long loading screen. Let's speed it up a little bit. This is 2x speed, and you can see how long it takes. Well, that little setback aside, we finally exit the sewer, and we are met with this classic vista. The OGs remember how this bad boy looked on the 360, but on the Switch 2, not too shabby at all. Immediately, I was surprised by the detail and the lighting, and immediately knew that my simulations were way off. This is what it looks like on PC for reference. Level of detail clearly is a little bit different, however, not too shabby for the Switch 2. It's looking nice and pretty. You can see things in the distance. Details might be a little bit off, foliage, etc., but that's okay. We still get that instant magic feeling when jumping into the game. Now jumping into the water, again, I thought originally in my videos that the water details would be less. In fact, they look pretty dang good. Very close to the PC version, if I do say so myself. Moving into a comparison scene that we did, if you remember, we hunted the deer and we had some pop in from foliage. On the left, on the Switch 2 version, you could clearly see that, frankly, there just is no foliage, just kind of a little tiny bit with mainly some green rendering on the hills to mimic what grass would look like. But really, I didn't notice any pop-in effect that we did have on the Switch version, or the simulated version, I should say. So again, I don't know what they did here, but it looks like they may have sacrificed some of the foliage in the engine for more of like a green hue on the hills to avoid that weird pop-in effect. And so it's really gone or greatly minimized to the point where I had a hard time trying to replicate it. Again, for reference, this is that same scene on PC. You could see more bushes and more grass and movement in the grass in this version compared to the Switch 2. So back and forth, we could see those discrepancies, but all in all, it looks crisp, and the lighting is something that was really impressive. So very happy about that. As we move on to Weynon Priory, we could compare another scene that we simulated in our previous video to compare it to now the official release Switch 2 version. This one was awesome because I was worried that some of the floating effects like the butterflies and other level of detail here in Weynon Priory would have been lost, but to my surprise, it actually is all present. You could see a nice crispy lighting, lots of nice detail, and then in our simulated version, things were kind of washed out. It just looks a little bit different. 30 FPS clearly, but the lighting is the biggest thing that makes the massive difference. And so side by side, we get to see that. In the Switch version, you can see the butterflies are flying around, and the simulated version, not so much. But again, the foliage and leaves on the ground and those types of details are not necessarily present in the Switch 2 version. Is that a deal breaker? No, I'd rather have awesome shadows and lighting. And then the same scene for reference at PC. So maxed out. And you can just see this is a really beautiful game if you have the hardware to push it. But again, this video is not to dog on the Switch 2. We are just analyzing how it looks. And so inside Weynon Priory, we could kind of see the simulated version on the right versus the left. The lighting's different, and this is where it really takes off. I think the character models look really good on the Switch 2 compared to a simulated version on the PC. It's softer around the edges. It looks good. Now, traversing, kind of frolicking in the hills, we should say that, again, the lighting looks good. The shadows under the tree, those exist on the Switch 2 version. In our simulated version, if you remember, we did the same scene, but again, the lighting and shadows are just not there. It looks horrible. So kudos to the team to squeeze out those beautiful shadows and contrasts on the Switch 2 version. All right, moving on, what I really wanted to spend some time on is the frame analysis and really see if their target 30 FPS is a reality for us on the Switch 2. And it is. Really, it is a 30 FPS game that holds its target about 85% of the time. In all 3 sessions where I've uploaded a lot of video to the script, 82 to 87% of playtime is clean. There's a tiny 60 FPS spike in some UI moments, but not gameplay. The averages for places like Kvatch is 28, around 29 at an Oblivion gate and playing through that, and then in some caves with goblins and some other introductory dungeons, around 28 to 30. So when it's at 30, it's a good 30. Only 6% of adjacent frame pillars oscillate between 16 ms and 33.3 ms. That means the cap is properly spaced, so it's not juddery. And that's what we want. I think having a juddery 30 FPS experience is an absolute deal breaker. But in this case, I think they did a good job with their 30 FPS targets. We'll see if there's additional patches to address those 1% lows. But what isn't a 1% low is when I tested the Joy-Con's mouse controls to be able to play Oblivion Remastered, this opened up a brand new experience for me. And this is something I want to emphasize and stress for returning Oblivion players and even people jumping in for the first time. In the previous video, you saw with a controller, I can't really do the combat at 30 FPS very well. I just can't. But with this, it smoothed out all of that precision for me. I was able to aim, I was able to hit things, I was able to use a bow and arrow, and it felt so good. And I think this is something unique that Switch 2 owners of the Oblivion Remaster will be able to enjoy. For people who have played the game multiple times like me, this is an awesome way to jump in to the Switch 2 Oblivion Remastered. I would highly suggest for anyone to give it a try for a few hours. See if you like it. For me, I don't know if this is my Skyrim Archer affinity speaking, but instantly I just felt at home shooting a bow and arrow in this. It was fun to swing the sword, easy to use the 2 triggers to use your magic or to use your primary weapon. It was easy to use the UI after a couple minutes of adjusting it, but I think it's a great opportunity for those players to return to Cyrodiil with a new set of controls. But all in all, I'd say, again, my initial fears have been settled. The Oblivion Remastered plays good enough on the Switch. Is it perfect? No. Is this gonna beat PC? No. But I was genuinely surprised with their screen space reflections, the water details, the shadows, the lighting. They did a really good job. And when it stays at 30 FPS, it is a true 30 FPS. And so Oblivion on the go, on the toilet, in that Switch Nintendo experience, it is such a gem to have one of the best RPGs of all time on the Nintendo ecosystem for the first time. Let's do more Legacy Elder Scrolls games. And like always, if you like this video, if you like the analysis, let me know. Let me know what you like if you're playing it. And please like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you.